Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here. At time of recording, it is Tuesday the 30th of May 2017. 1 week ago exactly from time of recording, Sir Roger Moore, who is most known for playing James Bond between 1973 and 1985, passed away on Tuesday the 23rd of May 2017 at the age of 89, a few months before he'd be 90. I think in October, November. So yeah, this has come as a real shock to me. So I'm doing this obituary video kind of thing in memorial. Suggested by my friend Ollie Dajanq, aka Mr. Tarts 11. Go watch his videos. He's done one of these, as has his subscribers Jack McCulloch, Alan Kalo, and also Bond fan and YouTuber Calvin Dyson. So Ollie said I should do one of these because I'm a Bond fan as well, which is true. If you saw my top films ranking of 2015, you'll know Spectre, the latest one, came fourth on that list. If I did one for 2012, Skyfall would be number one because that's my favourite film of all time. And in my top 10 are, I think, one or two Roger Moore films are in my top 10. Live and Let Die is certainly in the top 10. Maybe Octopussy. I'm going to have to think it through. Might do a ranking video at one point, maybe when the next film comes out. It'll be a big ranking, bigger than the MCU one that's going to come out later soon. So, yeah, Roger Moore was in 7 Bond films. Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, and you see, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill. And Live and Let Die is one of my favourites. Not top 5, but definitely top 10. I think the other top 10 one would probably be Octopussy. The Man with Golden Gun, this is a great film as well. It's not that great, it's a pretty good one. Really enjoyable. I would say it's in my bottom half of the list, though, mind you. Maybe bottom 5 out of 24 films. It's probably bottom 5. But then again, there aren't any Bond films I don't like. I think the only one I'm not so keen on is Quantum of Solace. Thunderball has terrible editing, but film-wise it's pretty good. There aren't any I don't like, though. I like all of them. Spy Who Loved Me, I'm not as big a fan on it, but it's one of the best in most people's opinion. In fact, quite a few people would say it's not just the best Roger Moore, but the best of the Bond franchise overall. Being many people's favourite. It's one of the ones you would usually see in a top 10 video list, or number 1 or top 5. Other contenders include From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Thunderball's a popular one as well. Live and Let Die, as I mentioned. GoldenEye and Casino Royale and Skyfall. Those are the usual ones that pop up on top 10s or number 1s or top 5s. The Dalton films aren't that popular. Thankfully, I think quite a few people do love The Living Daylights and would pop that in a top 10, to my knowledge. One that's usually in a bottom 10, 5 or bottom number 1 is the next film, Moonraker, which I think, while despite being very silly, is quite a bit of fun, but there are some dull moments, and not really when they're in space, to be honest. The space bits are pretty good. Apart from when they're en route from Earth to space, that is pretty dull, despite some good music from John Barry. Sorry, Calvin Dyson, that score, while playing, you might love it, but I think it's just okay. John Barry did better stuff with Moore's final Bond film and Dalton's first one. I think that they're the best 2 John Barry scores for A View to a Kill and The Living Daylights. For Your Eyes Only, I used to not really like this one. I'll admit, this and the From Russia with Love, they used to be my least favourites. I don't know why, I just didn't seem to like them. Oh yeah, this sticker says for A4 production sketches from the world to enough. I got this second hand from a charity shop, so sticker's a bit gone. That might have been my fault. And there's no sketch art, sadly. Some of these don't. Some of the ones I get second hand don't usually have all the leaflets and stuff. Was there anything from the other 2? Not from those 2 DVDs. Not all of these are second hand. Some of the special edition ones are, but a couple of others are first-hand. And a couple of these ones are from Sainsbury's or from Amazon, as are the Blu-rays. Living Daylights one's certainly from second-hand. Usually the same charity shop, St Clair's Hospice in Stortford. It's a good place to have a look for films. But yeah, I don't know why, but For Your Eyes Only used to be my least favourite for a while. But now I think if it's not in my top 10, it's just missed out. And it's got probably the best Roger Moore Bond film score after A View to a Kill, with Live and Let Die coming a very close third. Next up is Octopussy, which, having watched it several times, this is coming out, watching it a few times, I didn't really enjoy it the first time round. Again, it went quite low on the list. But watching it quite a few more times, this is probably the most enjoyable of the Roger Moore Bond films. This is just so much fun. Again, this one might actually be in the top 10 Bond film lists because of its enjoyment. It's silly, and coming after For Your Eyes Only, which is kind of go back down to earth, literally, as being more serious on a Automatic Secret Service, From Russia with Love, Spy Who Loved Me style. Not quite back down to earth Dalton Craig films are, but it's during that after the campy fest Moonraker was. That I don't know what happened with Moonraker, it just went really silly and in certain areas, and although it did have its serious moments, For Your Eyes Only had a few comedic moments like the ending, but in general Moonraker was a silly one and For Your Eyes Only was a serious one. But following For Your Eyes Only, and with competition from the unofficial Bond film Never Say Never Again, with Sean Connery returning to play Bond for the 7th time, but this time unofficially, then I'm not sure why, but Octopussy just went back to its kind of a Moonraker Man with Golden Gun style. It's kind of very silly. In fact, this is probably more comedic than Man with Golden Gun. That was a bit comedic, but not as much as this one or Moonraker. However, out of the three comedic ones, Man with Golden Gun, Moonraker and Octopussy, this is the best, and it's just so enjoyable, and it is quite a serious Cold War film at that time, along with Living Daylights, From Russia with Love and Spy Who Loved Me. And to an extent also from You Only Live Twice, that was sort of a Cold War film. There are quite a few of the Connery to Dalton Bond films that are quite Cold War-y, and then once you get past License to Kill, we come to the modern age with GoldenEye. And it's very more, this is the modern age, we have to get used to this. And Casino Royale, definitely more so, as Dying Over There was in production when 9/11 happened, or pre-production at least. So after that one, they had to be a bit more serious with the films from Casino Royale onwards. But yeah, Octopussy is a really enjoyable film. I know not so many people like it. Not that many people like it, but it's more popular than the next one, A View to a Kill, which is Roger Moore's final Bond film. Having watched it a few more times, I do like it. I mean, first time round, I think I preferred it over Octopussy, but I watched Octopussy more times and it's pretty good. But I think this one's a pretty good film. It's not terrible by any means. I know some people think it's just another Goldfinger rip-off or remake. Yeah, I can see the elements. I mean, there is the scene with the diorama and the man being ejected out because he's rejected into the plan. But in all honesty, it is pretty good, and if I'm honest, it's probably the darkest Roger Moore Bond film because of the villain. He and his henchmen mow down innocent miners. I mean, this age rating to 12 is due to a special feature. It's due to a blooper when Roger Moore says the F word. I say blooper, it's a deleted scene, but Calvin Dyson in his deleted scene list says it's more of a blooper. Or at least that's what he says he likes to think of it as. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this film had been re-rated to 12 in later years due to what happens in the film. It's due to an extra, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had raised it to 12 for the film, because it is quite a dark film. It's not License to Kill or Casino Royale, but it's darker than some of the other ones. Diamonds Are Forever is a 12 now, and that's not as dark as some parts of this film. it's probably the darkest one at this point before we came to the Timothy Dalton films. Which is probably quite fitting for Roger Moore's final outing. He is considered quite a comedic one, but this is probably Live and Let Die style. It's kind of not quite campy, not quite serious, it's kind of in the middle. And it is pretty good. It's got some great moments. The fire truck chase in San Francisco, that was great, even though I think the police going after Bond is a stupid move. The police going after Bond anyway is a bad move. But in some cases, like Living Daylights, it's pretty fun. And this one, it was pretty fun. So I won't hold him to it. And yeah, it's got some great moments. The final battle at the end is pretty good, although, mind you, by the time of A View to a Kill, Roger Moore was starting to get a bit long in the tooth, so to say. Octopussy would have been a great one to end with, and this could have been Timothy Dalton's first one, in which case it definitely would have been darker. Maybe not quite a 15, because there was no 12 at the time, but the PG could have been raised to a 12 for the actual film, but then again... And also there'd be less comedy, because Timothy Dalton's Bond. But it's alright, it's not terrible. I think it's okay for Roger Moore's final entry, and yeah, it's great. And the Eiffel Tower chase is pretty good. There's actually quite a few good moments in this one, so those who don't like it, fair enough, but there are still quite a few good moments. So yeah, it's Roger Moore's had a kind of a mixed tenure, hasn't he? In both tone and people's opinion. I mean, lots of people don't like Moonraker. A lot of people don't like A View to a Kill. There's quite a few people don't like Man with Golden Gun. So surprisingly, For Your Eyes Only is not a really popular one, despite being serious. Octopussy is not that popular. I suppose the most popular two are Live and Let Die and The Spy Who Loved Me. Which is strange, because I'm not that big of a fan of Spy Who Loved Me. I'd rather have Octopussy and For Your Eyes Only, maybe A View to a Kill. A View to a Kill, and now and again, maybe... No, I would take over Man Golden Gun and Moonraker. But... it's not one of my favourites. But yeah, Roger Moore had a great tenuous Bond, and he didn't just do Bond, he did The Saint, he did The Persuaders. I saw an episode that, I think 2 weeks ago, so a week before he died, I saw an episode of The Persuaders, or part of an episode. He's been in a couple of films and TV shows. I think he did a Bond spoof sketch, but I'll have to look that up online. I don't think it's on the special edition DVD, it might be on the Ultimate Edition. So a couple of films, as I said, and of course he was an ambassador for UNICEF, introduced to it by the late great Audrey Hepburn. So, yeah, he's going to be fairly missed. Fairly, that's an understatement. What am I talking about? He's going to be very well missed. So, Roger Moore, I hope you're at the great casino in the sky with your lovely tux. Having a smoke, I don't know, does it harm your body when you go to heaven? Or a drink? Driving around in a Lotus Esprit? I can't say Aston Martin. He never drove an Aston Martin. Not to my knowledge. He definitely didn't drive the DB5, nor did Dalton. Or Lazenby. It's just been 3 Bonds. Craig, Connery and Brosnan. And picking up some nice dead girls. And ambassadoring for UNICEF in the great beyond. So, Roger Moore, I salute you. I hope you're resting well in peace up in heaven. And, yeah, it's a great devastation for your loss, but you had a fantastic run as an actor and as an ambassador for UNICEF. Great work, and you will always be remembered for your great work, especially with James Bond, and also The Saint and The Persuaders. Mainly James Bond and UNICEF. So, thank you, Roger Moore. Thank you for a fantastic film and out-of-film career. And, yeah, if it wasn't for you, both the Bond series nor the world itself wouldn't be what they are today without you. Thank you for being great. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh shit.